Hello, welcome back to Uncle Buck's Garage. Today I'm gonna show you how to spot putty a panel. And on that one, we still have to do some DAing, but then once we get that done, the DA is gonna get put up, and it's gonna be pad sanding, block sanding, and spot putty. So I'm gonna show you how to do it. So let's get started. Okay, we're gonna talk about why I use spot putty instead of just put a whole bunch of product on it and then sand it off, because that costs money. Okay, where I can spend $6 for a thing of glazing spot putty at Walmart and not end up just leaving gallons of paint on the floor after sanding, after sanding, after sanding. Okay, now, the basic, here's your scratch. This is your scratch in your paint right here, right? So if you spray, you're putting a layer on it like that. You're just putting a higher layer on the top side and not filling in the cracks. So if you, instead of doing that, if you come in here and take the spot putty and you put it in that crack and then you sand it off, you're not sanding away all that product you just spent money for. So that's what the spot putty is for. And if you see in this panel over here, there's a lot of spots in this panel. And basically how I consider this is you're just glazing the cake. All right, you're just taking, and that whole deal I did on just one corner. This is just one corner of a spreader. It just goes on and you just spread it, just like glazing the cake. And multicolor 7-layer one, this had spots all through it, cracks, spots, just all kinds of stuff. So, but the thing also about this is this is a lot softer than Bondo. This is just spot putty. So this will, with 150 grit, 200 grit, 400 grit, whatever, this will just flake right off and powder right off and just leave you your spot. And then once this is ground down, then you will be priming it. We're going to prime it one more time and look for more spots. And it'll just cut down this, and you just do a couple layers, and then you block sand it, and you give it its final coat of color, whichever it's going to be, which, you know me, it's going to be flat black. So now we're just waiting for everything to dry. And when you know it's dry is when it turns pink. When it's red, it's wet. When it's pink, it's dry. And then it's just a matter of starts using the sander. And what I use, and I've been using this thing for years, is my Black & Decker pad sander. And it's got the edges of it a little worn down a little bit, but that pad is nice and flat, and it makes quick work of it. And we'll just be going over the top of it, and I'll show you how we do it once it all dries. But that right there is 400 grit that's in right now, waiting to just zip this down and just smooth this all out. Okay, so what we're looking for is shadows. And like right there, shadow. And we're just looking for little spots, pock marks. Like right there. That's what we're looking for, spot putty. So basically there's some discoloration, which is some low spots. So you can see where we're going to be putting this putty in. But you're just looking for like that scratch right there. See that scratch? I don't know if you can see it, but there's a scratch right there, and using and there's a scratch right here, and there's just a couple of spots here, and see, like right there, that's a shadow, that's a scratch, that needs to be filled in with spot putty. So the easiest thing to do is you just use your corner and you just kind of squeeze it out like toothpaste, right? And all you're really doing is you're just filling it in, and just, what do you call it? You're just glazing the cake. You're finding the low spots. You're just putting a little bit in.
You're gonna have to put it on a little thick though, because this stuff is kind of watery.
Yeah, I know, but it's straight out of the tube, and there's no mixing involved.
Yeah.
So,
Where's the other spots?
One right there. Yeah, there's a. A bit up in here too. There we go. And you ain't got to hurry because it doesn't dry very fast. But you're just filling in little minor spots. Okay, we'll let it dry for a while, and everything is nice and light and pink. So now the fun stuff starts. So basically, this is all kind of straightened out right now. We got some little small spots, but the easiest way to do it, you can do it one of two ways. Power assisted, but that's my good old fashioned Black & Decker pad sander I've had for 30 years, or you can do it with a blocking pad. And all right, with the sanding pad, spot putty pretty much flows away real quick. Okay, and see, this is just filling in even the more little spots. You're just finding you're just refining it out. High, low, you're just filling. This is the coat that we just put on right here, and this is the lighter coat. Here's the spot putty, the low spot, and you're just filling in. And see, this is just a little haze of a low spot right here. You're just refining it as it goes. Okay, now I just want to show you guys how to sand without leaving high and low spots in your sanding. Okay, now you don't ever want to put the sandpaper under your fingers and sand like this. The reason that is because it's uneven pressure and it will leave grooves where you'll be able to see it in the paint once you get done. The best way to do this is basically you just fold it or get a piece, you put it under your thumb like this, and you bring it under the palm of your hand like this, because when you're sanding, you're sanding even pressure and not leaving grooves in it. So like right here, I got this spot right here. I want to sand this and just knock it down a little bit. And I'm just hooking it with my thumb and just doing even pressure side to side. Never like this, because I've seen it happen. Guys sanding like this and they end up with streaks in their sand. And this is the most important part. The prep of the part is the most important part. So even pressure, going sideways, and never even with your fingers. Okay, it is the next day, and here, this is the fender driver's side. This is the one that had the big bad dent dead center of it right there, and was bent on that end and on this end a little bit that we straightened out. Okay, so let's see what we got. Let's get our flashlight up. We still got spot putty to do. We got a little spot there. See that? See the shadow? Got a little spot there. Let's see what we got on the. Actually, it's got a little wave in it right there. I can see a little wave in it right there. Needs a little bit of work. It's got a little spot right here. You can see it? Yep. But all in all, she's pretty slick on. I mean, this is where that dent was. And that, you tell me. That's pretty good. Three spots on this one, 3 small spots, and 4 or 5 small spots on this one to fill in with spot putty. And let that dry, sand that down, put a little bit primer over the top of those, and let that cure. And then it's block sanding time. Okay, after all that work, this is all we got left for spot wise. These 2 spots here, 3 on this panel. These little bitty spots here. I did forget about, I had a spot here that I noticed last night. And then these, just be careful, and nothing on this end. But that's the process. DA it down, find your low high spots, which this panel was, man, it was a mess. 7 layers of paint. And I still had red showing the top layer after all that sanding and all that DAing on this one. But the dents that was in the front of that one, the big gash, that one's gone. The big gash that was in front of this one is gone. The dent in the center of it is fixed. As you can see, that line is straight as a string. But this is the process of at home. Now, if this was a shop that was doing this for a living, okay, they wouldn't do this way. They would not. This is in-home, doing it yourself, spending the least amount of money to get the best products you can get with home tools, with, home setup. A big shop, they wouldn't do this. They would just replace the panels. You would be spending the money for a panel, because these days, paint and body shops are just body replacement and paint shops. They're not dent fixers. They're replacers. Okay. So I'm saving, I would say, north of $700 for these fenders of doing these myself, with a $10 thing of Bondo and a $6 thing of Spot Putty, and about 4 cans at $7 a pop, $7-8 a pop of decent primer. So what is that? 40 bucks as opposed to 700, and just putting them on and hoping they fit. Because I know these fit because they're originals, and the metal is stronger. The metal is thicker, and you can weld on these, and okay, you can beat on them with a hammer, and they have the memory and they'll come back. So this is the difference between using your time or your cash. And I would prefer to use my time. So if you're still here, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that button, smash that bell. Tell your friends. Check out UncleBuckStuff.com for a little merch if you would like a hat or a t-shirt. Y'all be good.